You're listening to the Women in Cybersecurity Podcast, where global voices meet to inspire, inform, and ignite change in the world of cyber. Hosted by Yuri Diogenes, Alexandra Francu, and myself, Yulia Iancu, we bring you real stories, expert insights, and bold conversations from the front lines of cybersecurity. Now let's dive into today's episode.
Hello everyone, welcome back. This is episode 9 of Women in Cybersecurity Podcast. I'm Yulia. I'm here with my co-hosts Yuri and Alexa. And today we have the pleasure to meet Andra-Irina Vasile. She is a senior cybersecurity strategist, an international speaker, and a mentor. She has a strong voice in supporting women in leadership and in tech and in cybersecurity. We're excited to get to know more about her career and her life journey. So let's get going. Thank you for listening in and thank you for being here. So then, Alexa, you have the mic.
Hello. So, welcome everyone. Today's guest, Andra-Irina Vasile, brings over a decade of hands-on expertise in cybersecurity strategy and risk management across multiple global enterprises. She's currently serving as a senior cybersecurity strategist at SIC Romania, where she drives the development of cutting-edge cyber defense strategies and collaborates closely with product teams to align security with business priorities. Previously, she led security engineering initiatives at EPAM Systems, specializing in automation, implementation, and governance of security tools for large-scale clients. Her experience also spans Microsoft, where she worked as a cybersecurity consultant in the compromise recovery security practice, helping organizations worldwide recover and strengthen resilience after major security breaches. With a strong foundation in technical consulting and product security, combined with international exposure and leadership in crisis response, our guest is passionate about building secure ecosystems and empowering organizations to stay ahead of evolving threats. Welcome again, Irina. Let's dive into today's episode.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Andra, and I'm going to call you Andra. I think it's Andra, the first name. We usually start those interviews going back to when you start working with cyber, right? Because I would like to understand a little bit of your background. How did you join the cybersecurity? Usually it's from someone that is in the IT, join cyber, but we had so many guests with different past lives prior to cyber. That would be interesting to know how you joined this field.
Okay. Should I start from the very beginning of my career?
Yeah,
or just
sure. Yes.
I'm as the girls mentioned, I'm originally from Romania, and I studied computer science in Romania. I am actually a Python software developer, but I never worked as one. And my first job was actually as a children's party entertainer. So, when I was studying, most of my colleagues were having, part-time jobs in and internships in IT and so on. And I was like, no, you know what? I will work in IT probably my whole life. So I will just postpone that moment a bit. And my job was just to dress up as a Disney princess and play with kids at parties. It was, I think, still the best job that I ever had in my life. And while I was still studying in my last semester, actually, of university, I got recruited by Microsoft for an internship. And I started with them, and it was a part-time internship, but after that they selected me. At that time there was a graduate program for students that freshly graduate students. And at that time Microsoft was really investing just in the potential, they were just putting you on a full-time job, with full responsibilities, even if you didn't have any previous work experience. And that's how I started to work there in IT, basically. After that program, that was in Romania. I was based in Bucharest, and it was a program for 2 years. I was part of the Windows support team for premier customers from France and Spain. That was also because I speak Spanish and French, so that was also one of the criterias. And then I had in my mind that I actually want to move to sales. But I wanted to be like in tech sales, and I had a very specific role in Microsoft that I wanted to pursue, And I didn't care so much of the location. It was just that I wanted to be a sales specialist for modern work and communication, which also had actually the security side. So that was also kind of my first touch point with security, because it was more like secure collaboration and communication. And at that time, I really wanted that role. I just applied to exactly that role in all locations where it was available in Microsoft. And I ended up in Ireland, in Dublin. And then when I was in that role, it was really amazing. I enjoyed it a lot. It was also like very exciting. And I started to be more and more interested in the security aspect of my role. But then I was also feeling that I wanted to have a job that would have like a higher meaning in a way. And I was speaking with one of my mentors. I always had mentors always towards in my career. And I was speaking with one of my mentors who was actually part of this compromise recovery security practice in Microsoft. And I was telling him like, hey, like, you know what, like, what am I doing with my life? I want to do something meaningful. This is a core value for me, also in like my personal and also in my professional life. And I don't know what I should do. I'm really enjoying like being in sales, but like, I feel that there is something that it's missing. And then he was like, oh, but you should join like this team that I'm in, like the compromise recovery security practice, because I think it would be a great fit. And I was like, okay, like, I know some security, but there is no way that I can be like with such a high responsibility, And he was like, no, you know what, like, let me train you, he really guided me into like, what to learn, where to start. And I had the opportunity to ask him and also other friends that were working already in security, like a lot of questions. So I started to prepare for that role. And then they got me, and I think I was very much in shock when they, when I actually got that role. And I think that was also when also the imposter syndrome kicked in for me, like I was like, I can't believe they took me into this team. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Really.
So, can you tell us more about how was your initial experience when you dived deeper into your first role, right, as a Microsoft consultant, and what did you learn throughout that period about the human behavior when it comes to threats and security breaches, let's say?
I think my first feeling was that I don't know anything. Like, that was my first feeling. Like, I was working with people that were like super smart and super prepared. And I was like feeling like, oh my God, I don't know anything. And I think I was really scared when I started to work. But then I think I just remained curious, about everything that was happening. I really started to, I was asking all the time, questions. I was also keeping an eye on projects that maybe I was not necessarily assigned. And I was like, okay, can you tell me, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I was doing, a lot of self-learning as well, but also a lot of one-on-ones with different people in order to know. Also, it was very hard also to orient myself. There were so many things that I felt that I had to learn. So I was just really relying on my mentors and on my coaches to guide me a bit and orient me a bit. I think this is why I also now do coaching as well, trying to also give back what I received in the right moments in my life. And when it was coming with working with customers, you can imagine I was working mostly on reactive incidents. So it was always after a customer got hacked, which was, everyone was maybe it was tense, but I think we were all in the same boat, I was feeling okay, it was Microsoft, maybe there were also other vendors involved. It was not always just Microsoft and the customers. And I always felt that we are really trying to achieve the same thing. So it was always interesting, I would say, yeah.
And can you describe any moment, if you had one, some kind of an aha moment in this career who told you that, yes, cybersecurity is the way?
Yeah, an aha moment. I think it was, as I said, the fact that I was feeling that my work is like so important in a way, you know, like especially when I was hearing about maybe companies that needed help, because I was also working on proactive security, not just on reactive. There were also some engagements for proactive security. And when I was assigned once to work on a proactive project for actually a company that I knew, and I was also a customer of that company, I was like, oh my God, look at me! You know, I'm actually working for for something that it's important. I knew other people that were customers from that company, so I was like, wow, we are actually now implementing some security best practices that are making this company more secure, even for people that I actually know. So I think that was a moment when I felt like I'm on the right path.
First of all, it's for you to say that your first job was actually the best job you ever had. It was super fun. Now, what do you really enjoy? I know that you talk about purpose and everything, but what do you really enjoy in cybersecurity? Is the challenge that you face, is the purpose? After working so many years in this field, what drives your motivation and what drives you to keep going in this field?
I think I never get bored in cybersecurity, you know, like every time I'm super close to understanding, like, I'm like, oh my God, like now I can really own this topic, you know, and then the next day I don't own it anymore. It's like, this is irrelevant, you know, and then I'm like, I actually never owned this topic, you know, I think this was, something new appeared 3 days ago and I thought I'm on top of it and actually I'm not. And for me, this is always like, I always feel that I keep my mind active, you know, there is always something new to learn. There are always so many, I go a lot, for example, to like events that are related to different cybersecurity topics, like to conferences, roundtables, discussions, and so on. So I feel you never get bored in cybersecurity, you know, and it's connected with so many other fields. And I like the how colorful it is in a way, you know, how different, like there are of course like some security concepts that are transferable and they're like applicable in all industries and for all sorts of customers. But every time like I learn how to secure a new thing, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. This I also learned a lot of things for my personal life. I feel a lot of times when I work with a customer from a specific industry, I also learn, you know, like, I don't know, of bread making factory, you know, IoT security. So I think I feel it enriches also my personal life, not just my professional one.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how did you, how was it for you to go present in a big venue? How did you get there? How was it for you? What was the topic? How did you feel?
So I started presenting actually since I was in Microsoft, since I was in sales. So I was already familiar. I also had trainings in this direction for presentation skills and so on. And I think I'm also at core like a social butterfly, you know, so I don't get so much intimidated by this kind of settings. But for me, I think it was exactly what I mentioned before with the imposter syndrome. I was like, why am I even invited to present? There's so many other like great experts that have so much more knowledge than me. Why do they invite me to present? This makes no sense, you know? And I think it was hard initially to make the change, because initially when I started to present for cybersecurity topics, like before with sales it was okay, but when I switched to presenting cybersecurity topics, I was feeling that I'm going to an exam, you know. I was feeling this is a room full of super senior people and all of them are gonna assess how smart I am, how technical I am, how much relevant experience I have. And I was really like, why am I doing this? Why did I say yes to this opportunity? But then in time, I started to gain more confidence in me. Well, I'm still working on that, but it's a process. And now when I go in this kind of settings, I don't really think about who is in the room. I know a bit the audience, so I know how to kind of like shape my presentation, but I don't really think who is in the room. I just know that, okay, I have something to say. There is a certain way of saying what I want to say. And I'm always open to like feedback and receive questions, and I think this is how I always approach it these days.
Andra, I would love to ask you, how does a day in the life of Andra look like? What do you normally do, and how do you spend your time?
Yeah, well, yeah. I think my days are very rarely the same. And I think I am most of the time overbooked. I think this is the reality. I'm still trying to manage my time in a healthier way, let's say. But at the time is like, except like my daily work, I also do like volunteering for different mentoring organizations that are both like here in Switzerland or like international ones. So I have also mentoring sessions almost every day. For me right now it's very hard to say no to people, even if I know that at the moment I have too many. It's very hard to say no to someone when they come like, hey, would you like to have a one-on-one chat? I basically do that, and I have like three kind of like situations where I work as a mentor. I mentor like students who are trying to get their first job, or people who want to make a career switch in IT, or women who want to join the cybersecurity field. So for sure in my day there is going to be one of these three sessions. And then I also do some sports. So I try to either like start my day with I do like Pilates reformer, so I either start with that my day, so I get like the right energy to survive the day, or I do it at the end just to kind of unwind and move into like personal life, Andra. I have days where I also attend different kind of events. So even if I'm not like a speaker, I also go to a lot of events. I think because for me networking is really important, and I think it really helped my career a lot. It was one of the most important pillars of my career was networking. Yeah, so I think this is how it looks. I also have like a personal life. Like I go out with friends. I have also like other hobbies. I read. I travel a lot. Yeah, I cook, for example. This is also something that I do, and I take some workshops for cooking as well. So it's a mix of everything. But I think no matter how busy I am, I always make space for being social, and I always make space for my hobbies as well.
Yeah, I love that you brought up networking, because I was just in Romania actually last week. Doing some events, and it was such an amazing week, meeting people and interacting with people. I think that nothing really beats the in-person experience.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we were convinced that online conversation is the same, but the reality is that it's not. And I could feel that every time that I go to Romania and network with everyone. Now, switching gears a little bit, I'd like you to explain to us a little bit of the most challenging things that you face on the beginning of your career joining the cybersecurity field. What's really, if you can look back and say, well, this was really the most challenging aspect of migrating into this field?
I think it was my own mind sabotaging me, like I feel, even for example, with the moment when I decided to leave Microsoft, it was also like my own mind telling me that, you know what, like I don't know enough security products, I don't know, and I was working with so many other tools, and I was like, what is this, what is that, what does this do? Like, I'm not I don't have enough knowledge in order to make a decision about this. So I think it was my own mind that just needed to accept that you can never know anything, and you can try to do the best you can, and just always reach out for help if you need help. And I think this was the biggest challenge. I also feel about again, my own mind when I started to be surrounded by more and more for example, male colleagues. I think this was also something that I had to learn, to be surrounded in in meetings where it was just me and 15 men, for example. And I think this was also a trigger for my willingness to mentor a woman to switch to cyber and not to be afraid of it. It's just it's just another IT role,
Wonderful. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think is one of the most underrated things that you found out about cybersecurity so far?
You mean from a technical perspective, or for working in cyber in general?
In general, anything that you found out as being underrated now looking back, right?
Looking back, I think for me it was most of the time the people aspect, I would say. I feel a lot of very good technical people that I worked with invest a lot, and they're super experts in in the tech side, but then on the soft skills it's hard to make themselves visible in the room, maybe people don't have enough confidence, or they don't know how to present their ideas. They don't know exactly stakeholders management, especially when you work in crisis situation. There are so many ideas coming from all the time, oh, we should do this, that, no, but my team wants to do this, and this will impact that. And I think this was something that I didn't consider so important in cybersecurity. I was like, no, this is super strict security stuff that needs to be implemented like this, like that. And it's not. It's a lot of stakeholders management, especially when you work in a big organization and big companies where business has a lot of power when it comes to where the cybersecurity investments go. So I feel that a lot of times stakeholders management is very important in cybersecurity projects.
What would you give as an advice to young women, or not necessarily young, but women who want to switch their career path to this cybersecurity? What do you think will actually help them? And yes, one of them could be mentoring, but how do you choose the best mentor? How do you choose the career that you want?
By stalking them, I would say. For me, it's very hard. You need to stalk your the people that you want to be mentored by. And this is maybe a very non-traditional advice, but that's what I do.
Very true.
You need the moment what you choose to be your mentor, it's super important, because that person will have your full trust, so I think you need to choose someone that inspires you, that you admire, that you feel that you would be aligned, and that will help you also reach your goals with mutual effort, of course. But then for me, when I select mentors, is I really look, okay, what do they do? I try to go if they present somewhere. Okay, maybe they're in different countries, but did they attend any webinar that I could see? Were they speakers somewhere? I reach out to them directly. I think this is also something that I advise people. Just text people, it doesn't matter the title and so on. Just, you can always reach out on LinkedIn to someone with a very nice introduction about you and why do you want to speak with them, and if they want, maybe they will refuse, maybe not, you never know. But I think this is my main advice: just keep trying. I was also I was refused by someone that I admire a lot, but I could understand because she was very busy, and I was like, okay, I understand that maybe this is not. But I feel that you need to remain curious. Like, this is also one of my main advices, like to always remain curious about what's out there, and to try to understand the impact of it, like maybe you don't agree with certain ways technology advances, but technology is advancing anyways, so you need to stay on top of trends and remain curious of how you can actually use this advancement of technology in your own advantage. So I think this would be my advice, and I think also to never think about who is in the room, just like stay authentic to yourself. And when you explore what kind of stuff to choose in cyber, this is a question I get a lot, like, oh, I want to switch to cyber, and I'm like, okay, where in cyber, like cyber is like not one single thing, there's so many roles, and aspects for it. And I think it's good to try, and to try to, especially if you have no contact with cybersecurity before, to try to see, okay, all the flavors of cyber and which one would fit you the best, which one would fit the skills that you have the best. And also speak with people who do that already. I think this is really important to kind of understand, exactly like Alexandra said, okay, what's a day in the life of the people that have the job that you think you have, that you think you want. Yeah.
Interesting. We are in this new age of AI, so of course we have to touch on this subject, and we talk about this with all of our guests. And my question to you is, one of the things that we are observing is for new professionals that are getting into this field, is getting a little bit difficult in terms of finding a place where they can strive, since they don't have the experience and their skills is still not there. And AI is already doing a lot of things that initial professionals in Korea are doing. And so it's sometimes you are competing with AI to get your first job. Do you see this happening already in the industry, in the country that you are working on, in some of your customers? What is your perspective on this?
Yeah, so right now I'm the most in touch with the financial institutions in Switzerland, and yes, I can see it a lot, and it's true, and we can't say it's not true anymore. But I also see the creation of new jobs, and using this AI, even in cybersecurity. Now I see more things popping up, for AI security, for example, how to use AI in order to enhance the security capabilities that a company has, or how to actually secure the AI systems that the companies are implementing. So I understand that some roles are for sure changing, and I think it's indeed harder for juniors at this point to enter the field, because I think a lot of the new roles that are created require a bit of seniority. So for example, let's take an example like a SOC analyst. Yes, a lot of things are automated by AI, especially for these roles. And then you need someone with higher expertise to be second layer for the SOC analyst, So I think this is indeed a moment when it's indeed more hard for juniors to enter the market. But I think it's always about upskilling, and also trying to speak with people that work from the industry and see exactly what's the need. Because I see a lot of people doing trainings, certifications, and they're like, oh, but they don't look at my curriculum. Look how many certifications I have, and look how many trainings I have. And I'm like, but did you see if they're if the jobs are actually in this direction, or you just wanted to have a bunch of certifications in your curriculum in order to be oh, I'm so much prepared, So I think it's always good to see a bit what the industry requires at the moment, especially with a lot of the especially because different industries have also different regulations that need to respect. And I think this is also an area where I see people not looking so much, how much expertise you have for security that will actually be aligned with certain regulations for a specific industry or for a specific country. So I think there are a lot of different angles that you can look at it in order to make your curriculum a bit more colorful and more appealing, even if you don't have necessarily the hands-on experience like in that specific role. Like you didn't work in a company on that specific role, but you aspire for that role.
And related to that, remaining a bit on the AI topic, have you noticed a shift in the leadership of the companies that you work for towards being more thoughtful on both AI and security? And how do you see AI and security in the next couple of years playing? So what we should really focus on building that AI and security literacy so that we can remain, ahead of times.
So unfortunately, what I see a lot around me, and not necessarily with the customers that I work for, but also like from industry in general, and what I hear also from other people that I connect with, a lot of times companies get into this like, oh, we need to implement AI now. We need to have something with AI because like our competitors do something with AI. So we need to also put AI on top and stay relevant in the market, but not necessarily a direction, and not necessarily truly preparing for making the AI switch, like they want to build something super sophisticated, but their data is not okay for actually building that sophisticated thing that they want. So I think this is something that I see a lot, like people trying to jump on the trend, but not properly preparing for it. And I see a lot of times this kind of decisions being made by a very high leadership level, but without involving all the relevant parties. I think the risk that I see at this time is that sometimes security is involved too late in these conversations. A lot of times it's like we're involved a bit like after all the decisions were made, like, can you secure this? I'm like, maybe I should have been involved before deciding, so I could be part of the whole process, of securing while developing all this, or like making sure like the architecture already have everything in place in order for us to be able to do a more advanced security implementation here. So I think this is what I see now, and this is also what I'm trying to say in other presentations that I do, that security should be involved in an early stage when it comes to incorporating AI in the companies. It should be at the table in the same time with the legal and the business and everyone else.
Yeah, so secure by design should be on everyone's table.
Yes. I was thinking about that. Yeah.
I want to push on this topic of AI. What's some of the most topics that you want everybody to know regarding the security of AI? How maybe there's something that you really believe in by securing the new future that's coming up with AI.
I think for me, for example, because this is also something that I work on right now, like to where we could use AI in order to improve our cybersecurity strategy for the company. I think it's good to involve everyone, I think it's important. I speak with my engineers and I ask them like, hey guys, like, where would you see AI actually helping you? Like you are a SOC analyst, yes? Where do you need actually me to put AI in order to make the AI work for you? Like I think this is where, like, what are the tasks that you hate doing? Like the manual tasks, like how can we make this like as your personal assistant in a way, And then you could focus on more interesting stuff, on more advanced stuff, or I think this is something that for me it's important at the moment to really try to speak with people and understand the use cases that make the most sense, and of course which are also relevant for the business, because there are many like cool stuff that you can do, but they can get very expensive, for example. So you really need at the end of the day to have the business justification as well, and to make the business provide you that budget as well. So I think it's
what about the risks for these tools that the companies are implementing?
The security.
The security risk? Yes.
I mean, here, I think it's from industry to industry. You know, some industries are more regulated than others, for sure. And I wouldn't say that there is like a secret recipe on what's the best way of implementing AI. You know, from some businesses, it makes sense to just get stuff that are automatically deployed by vendors. For some, makes sense to just deploy it. Even for some industries, for some use cases, it even makes sense to just deploy it in your own database. You know, just do it in your own data center. Like just do it there. You know, I think it really depends on the business model and on the risk acceptance of the companies, because some companies can have a higher risk acceptance than others. And this is a very there is no recipe that would work for all of them. But as I said, I think security should be at the table from the very beginning. And I think this is actually the risk that I see, that you don't involve security early enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and talking about risks, one of the things that I've observed is a lot of companies they just want to go to this AI race, and without knowing even what they really want. They just want to be part of it, and then each department starts to create agents, and now we have this agent sprawl problem. How are you trying to educate your leadership in terms of the dangers also about going to AI without having a secure mindset?
This is this also depends on your leadership, you know, how open, how much your leadership is actually caring about all this. I always try to really show the risks, you know. I always say like, hey, we can do this, but this is the risk that you're accepting by us doing this. And this is what could happen in case this doesn't pass the audit tests, you know? Like, this is how much you would pay in case this is not okay, you know? So I really try to show the business impact that it could have, you know?
Yeah.
And I think this is important when you speak to higher leadership, and I really try to understand from their side, why do they really want this specific AI use case, for example? What is the return of investment of actually having this AI use case, you know? Is it just because like we want to do something with AI, or is it because it actually makes sense and it benefits us? So I think this is like two things that I look about it. We also have a lot of like, kind of like sessions where they could attend, you know, and understand more about AI security and so on. But a lot of times, like, higher leadership doesn't really attend these sessions, you know, like a lot of other employees do, but not necessarily the higher leadership. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you stay up to speed with this ever-changing environment with AI going on, with security? How do you incorporate learning in your day-to-day life?
So I actually, again, coming back to stalking, I stalk a lot of people that I consider that have something relevant to say. So I actually, I'm subscribed to a lot of like newsletters, and I attend a lot of webinars from different companies that are specialized in security, and either like also like startups or like big companies. Like I attend a lot of sessions from companies that I like what they do, and I also follow a lot of like people on LinkedIn and that like publish relevant articles, and also maybe that share a lot of times like new things. I'm subscribed to blogs as well, like security specialized blogs. Sometimes it becomes too noisy, so I try to kind of allocate a certain time of my day for actually selecting, okay, I'm like, what am I gonna read, and so on. I have a lot of like folders and tabs and everything. But I think it's more than that. It's really by going to events and speaking with people. trying to meet with people that are also working in the field and trying to understand their struggles and how their work is and what their companies are doing as well. So I really learn still a lot and stay relevant by speaking with other experts from the industry.
Thank you.
And you mentioned the field of women being less present than men in this field. So, would you felt any time that you should make yourself louder or more visible in one of those situations?
I think I struggled a lot of like proving myself, that I deserve to be here, that I was not just a diversity hire, that I actually know what I'm doing. So I think this was, for me, something that I struggled with. And it got better in time. I think this is also quite different depending on the countries that you are in. I think in some countries there are more in general women in IT and women in cyber than in others. For example, I could definitely see a difference between, for example, Romania and Switzerland. It's like it's a quite obvious difference. In this meaning that in Romania there are more women in IT in general than in Switzerland, for example. And for me, sorry?
I was thinking the other way around.
No. No, I can tell you for sure, no. No. And I feel right now I don't get intimidated anymore. But it was just by practicing, and I think it was going out of my comfort zone. And initially, I was like, I will go just to woman events, woman in IT, woman in cyber, woman in tech, woman in digital, woman in everything. It was very hard for me to make me actually go to specialized events. Like, I wouldn't go to a cloud security event, but I would go to a woman in cloud security event, just because it was more like comfortable in a way, and it was more like, sorry?
And approachable.
Yeah, exactly. And approachable. And I was feeling like, we're all in this together, like I know how you struggle. I also struggled the same. So it was like this kind of like, trauma bonding, if you want, but then I was like, I can't do this to myself, like, why am I limiting myself? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I should go to an event because the topic interests me, this should be my motivation. And then, in order to do that, I started to try to convince also other people to go with me. I was having a colleague at work. Hey, do you want to go at this event? Or like a friend. Or I even invited friends that had nothing to do with IT. I was telling to my friend, she's like a project manager in like a completely different industry. And I was like, do you want to come with me to this event? Because I don't want to go a woman alone, But then I got more comfortable with it, and I really encourage people to just go because, like, you don't need to think, is it a male or a woman or something, a different gender or whatever. It's just like, who is this person in front of you? What is he expert on? What is his role? Like, when you go to this kind of events, you're also speaking like with an expert like anyone else. And I think right now, in the beginning, I was like really intimidated by it, especially because not necessarily also with being a male or female, but also like with the age differences. A lot of times I had to work with people that were like quite senior and like 20 years in this industry, and I was like 3 years in cyber, So I think this was also something. And I remember in the beginning, I was always like scared, and I was seeing the attendee list, and I was like even telling my parents, oh my God, I'm going again, and it's me and 10 men, and I don't want, and why it's always like this, and so on. And now I actually make fun of it, like I go and it's just like maybe me and 20 men, and I call my parents like, oh, you wouldn't believe it was just me and these 20 guys, and it's like, so I think it just gets better in time, and just knowing your worth and that your voice is as important as anyone else in that room. Because if you are invited in that room, or if you go in that room, it's like, it means you should be there, you have something to say. And even if you are not at the same maybe level, you are there because you're curious and you want to learn, and you should take advantage of that. And actually people are quite open to to share their expertise. Sometimes it comes maybe because they like, like, oh, look at me, how much I know, let me tell you better. And then I allow people, like, if people come with me with this attitude, not necessarily for teaching, but more like from a superior attitude, I'm like, yeah, please throw it all on me. Like, give me everything you know. Share with me all the information. I'm gonna make it work for me, and I'm gonna use it in my for my own development.
Yeah, not taking things personally.
Yeah, exactly. I don't take things personally. Like, if you want to be smarter than me, I kindly invite you, be smarter than me and make me smarter than I am. It's fine.
We are at the mark, and I want to do just one last question before I wrap up from my side, which will be, in this day and age, with everything that is going on with AI, with cybersecurity being always very challenging, what recommendations would you give to someone that is trying to join this field? At least the top of mind for you for new beginners in this field?
I would say to really not join, like, I think you should find the motivation, and you should find a role in cyber that excites you, like, don't join cyber just because it's cool to be in cyber, Don't join cyber just because, like, oh, like, it's a very good paid field in IT, that's why I want. I mean, it can be a motivation, of course, but I think you should really find something that would really make you passionate about it, as for any other job. You should see, okay, what kind of roles in cyber, like, would you like? What would you like be the most excited? Where do you feel you could have the most impact? So this would be my advice. Don't just join cyber because it's cool. Like, really try to understand the field.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alexa, do you have any last questions?
No, thank you very much. Appreciate your presence here today, Andra.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone. This is a wrap for today's episode. Andra, once again, thank you very, very much for joining us. I truly appreciate. I think that was a great conversation. Alexa, Yulia, as usual, brilliant. Thank you so much. And for our audience, thanks for subscribe for our show. Make sure to visit us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and see you next time.